In the reference material that was provided us, there was many pages of correspondence relating to access for Mr. Inouye?
Correct. Warren Inouye.
Could you just explain that to me?
I can. If I can use a different graphic, though, it might help better explain that. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I thought that might come up. So what we have here, again, is the two subject parcels, parcel 26 and 27, outlined in blue. We've got Amaulu Road here, Wainaku Street here. Here is the parcel 24, the parcel that Mr. Inouye was talking about. So Mr. Inouye claims that there is legal access from Amaulu to this property as well as from Wainaku to this property, and has asked us to kind of agree with that and condition that access be made available. All of the research that we've done has not been able to find legal access to that lot from either of those places. He references the tax map. There are roads on the map that are showing old plantation roads, but nothing that showed any kind of legal access. And then two other things. We asked Mr. Inouye to provide us with evidence that there is access, that this would be impinging upon. He wasn't able to do so. The second thing is we haven't been able to find that he has any ownership interest in parcel 24. He is a representative, a legal representative of one of the owners who owns a small portion. There's several owners who own interest in that parcel. There were several quitclaim deeds that we were able to find that showed people deeding over a portion of their property to Mr. Inouye. However, the people who were deeding over that property, we weren't able to determine, or it was shown that they didn't actually own an interest in that portion. So there was a lot of back and forth in that between Mr. Inouye and the Olson Trust and their attorneys. Where we've landed after a lot of research was, again, we weren't able to find any legal access from Amaulu nor from Wainaku, and again, we weren't able to find any evidence that Mr. Inouye owns any has any ownership interest in the property.
Could you just bring up the aerial one more time, please?
Sure.
There's a road, it looks like there are two old plantation roads going south to north through these parcels, one on the very edge and one right through the middle of the proposed urban area.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no way that parcel 31 or parcel 24, parcel 31 being the one that surrounds 24, have any kind of prescriptive rights over those roads?
None that we could find. There were no recorded access easements.
Well, those wouldn't be recorded. I
prescriptive
don't know,
rights.
maybe I'll ask our corp counsel. Can you get access by prescription?
So that's where
Hawaii?
The other thing that we said in our recommendation, our background, is that's a civil matter between the owners of that lot and the Olsons. So at this point, we couldn't make a determination from our side and left it up to them to work that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions?
One last thing, sorry. There was one other piece of kind of confusion in Mr. Inouye's correspondences, and it was there was a reference in the original application saying that the northern boundary of the subject parcels was the Puueo Stream. In fact, that was incorrect. The Puueo Stream is farther north, as indicated in this darker blue line. So what Mr. Inouye thought was that his parcel was right in the middle of the rezone area, when in fact it's farther north and kind of on an island of its own. So just wanted to point that out, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions that the commission may have.
Yes, I have one. So Mr. Inouye's parcel is not even part of this discussion, really?
That's correct. He claims it is. He claims that there's access from Amaulu and access from Wainaku that would be impacted by this rezone and subdivision action. We were not able to find that to be the case.
But it will have no effect on that red piece of property,
This
other than the access issue.
That's correct. That's a separate piece of property that isn't involved in this action.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So his current access is coming off of, he's currently accessing his property not off of Wainaku, right? He's currently accessing it off of Amalu.
There is no current legal access that we could find. There's nobody actually living on that property. So it's a vacant piece of property. Again, Mr. Inouye got the surrounding property owner notice because he's a representative of one of the property owners. And when the applicant initially sent that out back in 2016 is when this whole conversation started. So as it is now, we were not able to find any legal access to that property, so it appears to be landlocked.
I've just got to ask, how does a subdivision get created that has no legal access?
I would have to take a look at the tax map and see. I'm not exactly sure how that lot came to be in the middle of the larger lot. Could be a land grant, or it could be a pre-existing lot there that was designated. Yeah.
So in the case of Mr. Inouye, the properties that he's expressed an interest in, anyway, like on the top side of the page, if the adjoining property owner develops something, there is a chance for, to have it connected and eventually provide access to that area. So I think from a purely planning standpoint, what the staff is recommending is really like on point. So it'll provide this connectivity, overall.
Good morning, my name is Dwight Vicente, representing Hawaiian Kingdom. I've heard false statements made that I haven't seen any proof that Seabrewer owned the lands. Seabrewer was here under treaty, and the 1875 treaty, what they call the Reciprocity Treaty, was not signed by King Kalakaua, nor was it signed by the U.S. President. So the plantation business, American plantation business being here was illegal. And they were only leasing the lands. How did it turn out lease to own? And those lands are crown lands. You cannot sell those lands. So the statement about they own the land and now Ed Olson owned the land is fraudulent. There's no document that show, and there's no document showing the kingdom doesn't exist. The kingdom didn't disappear, it's still here. Iolani Palace still stands. The people are still here. The people's native tenant rights to the land is still here. There's no document that extinguishes any of those rights, whether it be the rights of the crown to those lands and the rights to lease those lands. Ed Olson doesn't own the land, neither did C. Brewer own the land. There's no treaty right now. The Reciprocity Treaty was illegal, so if you're American, you're an illegal alien here. All the other treaties end in 1897, so if you come, you're a descendant or you came from another country, unless you've been naturalized to the Hawaiian Kingdom, you're an illegal alien. And looking at this commission, I happen to question your nationality, whether you have jurisdiction over these lands. You gotta remember in 1898, these lands were not ceded to the United States. The leased lands had a contract on them, and they couldn't impair those contracts. The lands that was illegally ceded was the Crown and government lands that did not possess a valid contract at that time. But under the US Constitution, there's no authority. And the Republic of Hawaii was US citizens who was here illegally. US Minister Stevens committed crimes, not war crimes, but criminal acts. Same with the other US citizens. They had no right to be here, no right to commit those crimes. It's still a crime today. And there's constitutional questions that are unresolved yet, so you cannot move forward. The Queen's protest of January 17 is unresolved yet. The only court that can deal with it, because it deals with US Minister Stevens, is the US Supreme Court. His act was criminal. And the U.S. Supreme Court is the one that has jurisdiction over U.S. Minister Stevens. So there's a lot of issues that are unresolved yet. And in fact, her protest has yet to be resolved. A lot of the issues dealing with the protests. So it's like a stay, which you can't move forward. And I think this procedure should be at a stay too. All the developments should be at a stay. So with that, I'll reserve the rights of this kingdom under the Queen's protest of January 17, 1893 against U.S. Minister Stevens. It has yet to make its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, original but limited jurisdiction. And the other one is the Reciprocity Treaty of 1875. It was invalid because the U.S. President and King Kalakaua did not sign it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for